On few occasions, it has been a centre of activity where MPs across party lines assemble in protest and even in solidarity. Once inside, this corridor leads to chambers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and the central hall. The outer wall of this corridor on the ground floor is studded with a series of paintings depicting the history of India from the ancient times and even the diversity of our nation.
Then the first speaker, Mr. Ankah, he became the speaker. So he also decided to have the inner wall of the inner side of the outer wall of the parliament be decorated with paintings, and for that he collected some eminent artists from all over the country. There was a committee was constituted. They found out who were the people who can do this, and they have come out with some beautiful paintings, about 24 in number.
Among the interior spaces, it is this iconic central hall which has history seeped in its veins. It's here the transfer of power took place in the midnight of 14th and 15th of August 1947. The Constitution was framed. MPs are addressed here by distinguished heads of the state of other countries.
सभासदों, महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी,
And the President of India addresses the joint sitting of the two houses before the beginning of Parliament session.
माननीय सदस्यगण, संसद के संयुक्त सत्र को संबोधित करते हुए मुझे अपार प्रसन्नता हो रही है।
The circular structure with the dome, Now, as I mentioned, the dome in itself was a, piece of debate, So rather than having an imposing dome, they decided to have they had to reduce the proportions of the dome as well. One of those, principal criticisms that came up against the dome, that it was the least of the appealing structures in the whole of the complex, right? And when the upper floor was built up, on the circumference of the Parliament House, the dome further went down. And this was seen by some people that, okay, some justice has been done, because they were not very happy with the dome.
Perfect circular in shape, the hall is crowned with 98 feet wide dome, easily distinguished as one of the most significant domes in the world, preserving, upholding and guarding the essence of democracy.
But the central hall is really where all the camaraderie takes place. That's where people sit and have coffee and talk to each other. There's no division there on party lines. You can sit next to a person who may have just attacked you in the house 10 minutes ago. People sit and have coffee. That is a very positive thing.
The central hall has various nooks and corners. And there is a certain spot which I like, and you have your arrangements with the waiters for coffee to be served, and you pay them in advance so that throughout the session you can get your stuff.
When you go there, you see the parliamentarians and the MPs in a very relaxed mode, and irrespective of their party affiliation, irrespective of their regional region that they belong to, they freely are mixing, mingling and exchanging notes. So that is it. And when you see the portraits there, it is like traveling into the corridors of history.
The Central Hall was originally used as a library of the erstwhile Central Legislative Assembly and the Council of States. In 1946, it was converted and refurnished into Constituent Assembly Hall. The Constituent Assembly met here from 9 December 1946 to 24 January 1950. One of the passages leading to the Central Halls bears an Arabic inscription saying it's a people of the nation themselves who can shape and mold their destiny. A fitting description of a hall which has stood witness to several poignant moments in the history of the nation. Equipped with modern audio and visual system, most notably simultaneous interpretation system, the Great Ceremonial Hall wears history on its walls. With 12 gilded emblems representing the 12 provinces of the undivided India and the panels carrying 24 portraits of distinguished national leaders. From Dadabhai Naoroji to Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru to Sardar Patel, Dr. Ambedkar to Madan Mohan Malviya. The latest addition to the galaxy of these portraits is of late former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The portrait was installed in an elaborate ceremony this year.
यदि आप अपने कार्य में एक्सेल करेंगे, अगर आप बहुत ऊंचाई तक पहुंचेंगे, तो आपका स्थान संसद भवन में एक पोर्ट्रेट के रूप में या आपको एक उदाहरण के रूप में दिया जा सकता है। एक पोर्ट्रेट कमेटी है, वो डिसाइड करती है कि कौन सी मूर्ति लग सकती है और कौन सा पोर्ट्रेट लग सकता है।
When you move across the parliament in any part of these portraits, these paintings, these inscriptions, in fact, look at you and you look at them and you get inspired. You see the history of the country, how the history has been made, how people have contributed to it, and this is a huge inspiration for people who are working here, people who come to see the parliament, and also the honorable MPs.
These curated lawns surround the central hall, giving a walkway towards the main gate of the hall before any ceremonial procession. With monoliths of India's tallest and greatest of leaders, giving grandeur of a different scale. Larger-than-life busts and statues of leaders overlooks the everyday walk inside the alleys of two chambers, the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. One of the galleries from Central Hall also lead to a third chamber, also called library. The ornate chamber, decorated with a crest of the former princely estates, was temporarily used as a courtroom by the Supreme Court after independence, till a separate building was assigned to it.
I think that little library, the Council of Princes one, is a lovely little room. It has all the crests around and it's intimate and very nice. I think that's very nice. I mean, I don't say it because I happen to come from a princely family. It's just that I think that is a very nice now very seldom used, I would say.
But what is also very interesting was, this had one of those galleries which had, jalidar curtains for women, from where they could watch the proceedings of the house. Perhaps the whole idea of women from priestly household watching that. But that is one of those, very interesting, facts about the Chamber of Princes.
The Parliament House space is also studded with 31 inscriptions from religious and philosophical corpus, the indicative of the spirit with which parliamentarians should conduct their business. These verses also serve as guiding principles for deliberations and conduct of business inside the House. Ayam Nija Paraveti Ganana Laghu Chetsam Udar Charitranam Tu Vasudev Kutumbakam. Or, that one is mine and the other a stranger is the concept of little minds. But to a large-hearted, the world itself is their family. Reads another significant inscription as one proceeds to the central hall, standing for the essence of what this great assembly of women and men represents.
It's far more educative than all the books I've read, I would say. The mere fact that you're talking with people of so many different and varied backgrounds. And I think it's important to point out that the sheer diversity of people in Parliament, both geographically and socially. And then they talk, and then they exchange. And I think that interaction helps you understand the dynamics of politics, dynamics of public life, what are the cross currents which are going on in life.
सब अपने अपने क्षेत्र से आते हैं यहाँ पे, और यहाँ पर आने के बाद वो मिल कर के और देश के लिए नियम कायदे कानून बनाते हैं, देश की समस्याओं को उठाते हैं और एक तरह से देश के को ऊंचा उठाने और पूरे सभी वर्ग के लोगों को मिलाने का काम करते हैं.
One of the most dominant characteristics, visual characteristics, is that every time you look at the Parliament, it only symbolizes to you one of the largest places of democracy. So that emotion has perhaps superseded the imperial aesthetics of the monument. And also the values associated with democracy in terms of representation of different kinds of people, from different strata of society, from different walks of life. So that in itself, the idea has, over a period of time, extended to include almost all walks of life, and that is one of those, as people say, miracles of democracy.
It is inside this grand structure a wide range of words, actions and activities take place which has shaped and molded this nation for better in last 70 years. No one is alone here, for there are highest traditions of truth, righteousness and weight of expectations of the citizens that keeps inspiring those who are chosen by the destiny to sit inside this august house.
I simply thank for this, thank God, thank my parents and our Honorable Chairman for having picked me for this very responsible job. And I would simply consider that this is only because of their magnanimity that I am here, because there could be people equally intelligent, equally hardworking, equally sincere, who could have been in this position. So if I am in that position, it is because of their good wishes that has brought me here.
There is an enormous weight of expectations. A responsibility is really the word I would use, which comes from being a member of Parliament. Maybe there are some privileges, undeniably so, there are some privileges on being a member of Parliament. But along with it, the duties and obligations are very much there. And most important of them is that do nothing which discredits the institution.
A member of parliament has got to be, has got an extraordinary opportunity to represent so many crores of people, and they must fulfill their responsibility to their constituencies and to society at large.